Hi, everybody. You are listening to Judging Meghan with your host, Meghan Judge. I'm so honored to have my guest on. But before I start and I introduce her, because she's a legend, I just need to thank all of you for your support. In the past couple of weeks, I've taken off. I went through a pretty upsetting loss. If you've listened over the past month, I had what was my second father. He passed away tragically. So just flew back to DC. I'm back. It was very sad, very hard, but I'm so happy that I did that podcast with him before he passed. I'll always have it. I'll always have that memory. And in life goes really fast. And I think that if you have the moments with people to be able to tell them what they mean to you and how much they mean to you, please do it, because you just never know how much longer we all have. So on that note, I'm going to be introducing right now my guest, Christy Salters Martin. If you are a boxing fan, you will know who this woman is. She is a legend. She's actually in the Boxing Hall of Fame. You were the first female in the Boxing Hall of Fame, correct?
For the longest time, they didn't allow women to be inducted into the Boxing Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
So the first year that they started to allow women, I was the first one to be inducted. So that's pretty awesome.
It's pretty amazing. Christy has a movie based on her life starring Sydney Sweeney, Ben Foster, Katy O'Brien, and Merritt Wever. It was directed by David Michôd, who you might know from Animal Kingdom, The King, and it will be out on November 7th. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so happy to take off my glasses. I'm so super vain and I hate wearing them, but I can't see anymore. Okay, so I'm going to start here. I watched the documentary. I cannot wait to see the film as well. But what I will say to you is, starting with your young life, growing up in West Virginia, and seeing how you were this star athlete, right? And a basketball player and all of these things, and got so much attention, but had to suppress who you really were from a very young age, really broke my heart. And I think there's so many young women and men that might be dealing with being gay and are too afraid to come out. And I just want to tell you that every story like yours inspires somebody else to be brave and know that it's okay. And I know that these times are so difficult that we're in. And I just want you to know that you inspired me for that alone. So from the moment I started watching the documentary, you had me at hello.
Thank you. And that's the reason. You know, people ask me often, why do you keep sharing your story, Christy? Why do you keep going through, putting yourself through some of these difficult times? And my thing is 100%, I just want to make it easier for somebody else. You know, I've been over the hump now. I got it. I'm here. And I'm old enough to now that I care less, you know, really about what people think.
Yeah.
But when you're young, you do care, and you're afraid, and you want to be accepted and all those things. Well, hopefully this movie will inspire people to be honest about their sexuality, but also to help parents and friends, parents especially, be accepting. Yeah, maybe my child is gay. Maybe my child is in love with somebody from a different religion or different whatever. Doesn't matter. They're still my child, and I love them. You know, you're the same person on Monday before they know that you're gay that you are on Wednesday after they found out that you're gay. You're the same person.
And also nobody ever questions like somebody on who they prefer. I mean, this is everybody's own private business. So it's at some point in life, it would be great if it just didn't even matter. But by you sharing your story, and there's so many young kids in small towns that are afraid. I know that you struggled with your mom, you know, and I'm guessing that was a big piece of why you were too afraid to come out in such a small town, correct?
Absolutely. And my town is so small. And it was back in the 80s in small town, you know, West Virginia. I mean, if I were 16 today and in that same town, I'm probably not coming out then either, you know. But now at 57, I don't have a problem with it because I'm older, I'm wiser, and I'm more of that, hey, take me as I am. But again, that's easy for me to say at 57. I couldn't say that at 16. It's different. And I realize even the person that's 16 in my little town now probably still hesitant. And some of that is the parents. You know what? If your parents accept you and then other people's parents see, well, they accept it, it makes it easier all the way around.
And do you think, looking back, like if there's one thing you could have done over, because I mean, I'm spending a little bit of time on this piece, but I think this piece is so much of why you are who you are today. And so much of your story is defined by this piece of it, right? In the beginning, where you had to hide who you were and your high school girlfriend, and walk away from that and end up in this horrible abusive marriage, correct? So can you kind of touch on that one thing that if you could go back to that young kid that you were growing up in West Virginia, that you might say to a parent or a child that's struggling with something like this?
Well, that's kind of a twofold question, because that they say if you're happy with where you are now, you can't change anything that got you here. So I had to struggle through all those struggles and survive all the BS to get to where I am today. And I'm pretty satisfied with who I am today. So, but if I could go back and tell the younger me or tell some of the younger people in my little town or any town in this country, to be true to you, be who you are, but also to parents, would you rather your child be in a relationship with someone they love, or would you rather them be bleeding out on their bedroom floor because somebody shot them, stabbed them, cut them up, and left them for dead? I mean, which would you rather have?
Yeah, I love that you say that. So thank you. Okay, so let's talk about the boxing, right? So you tell me a little bit about when you decided you wanted to go into female boxing, because they don't really address that really in the documentary that I watched. So how did it go from high school sports to all of a sudden becoming a boxer?
That's a very good question, because I'm not sure that I don't really have an answer. It was gradual. I played sports in high school, and then while I was in college, I was playing basketball, and I had been we're Southern West Virginia. The Toughman contest back in the 80s was a big deal. Like, all the guys would get into it, and I think the winner got $1,000. So I kept telling the promoter why. I thought this was a fun idea. I don't know. You should have women. You should have women. And every year they would say, no, we're not adding women. Finally, one year, they decided they were going to add women. And I'm like the first one there to sign up. And one thing just led to another. Like, I did the Toughman a couple of times, and then Larry Carrier from Bristol, Tennessee saw me in the Toughman, and he thought his girl could beat me, so they brought me down to Bristol to fight a pro fight. And even then, I was like, I want to do it one time just so I have a good story. I could tell when I get to be 50 something, I could tell my friends that, like, hey, guess what? One time I did a professional boxing match. When I started this, I never thought it was going to be my career. Never. But boy, it took me on a crazy wild ride.
Yeah, it sure did. Okay, so you ended up meeting the promoter, correct, Jim? And
he was a trainer.
He was a trainer. Okay, sorry. Don King ended up being the promoter. So he took you on as your trainer against his will, correct?
Right.
For being female. And tell me a little bit more about that. Like, he was tough on you in the beginning, and then it kind of grew into a relationship where I'm guessing you looked up to him to be in a position where you ended up together. Can you talk about that?
It's one of those situations where, as you have a coach or a superior, sometimes you start to, want a relationship or want to be closer, maybe. Mm-hmm. So I started spending more time with him. He started telling me all these stories that were intriguing. They were also, as I found out later, lies. But that he knew this person, he knew that person, and he didn't know anybody. So it was, and then it became romantic. But it also was romantic because it was kind of easy. He's old. He was old. My mother loved him for whatever. My mother loved him because he was a him and not a her. And I just stayed with them even before I married him, he told me if ever I left, he would kill me. And yeah, I mean, I was young, 23 or so. And I thought it was a joke. You know, I didn't really take it for serious. But as time went on, and he would remind me that if ever you leave me, I will kill you, I started believing it. And then at the end, I knew it.
Yeah.
I knew that's what was going to happen.
So it seemed like you were in a trauma bond with him from a really young age, because there was a huge age gap, correct?
25 years.
Okay.
He was older than my dad.
Okay. And you felt like he was not only the trainer, but you felt like you had to end up marrying him, and then started the cycle of abuse did it start pretty quickly, or was that over a period of time?
It was always mental, emotional. I didn't realize it, but isolation. You know, that's the problem. You're in these relationships and you don't realize you're going down this rabbit hole until you're so far down the rabbit hole, you don't know how to get out. You know, I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh, you know, all my friends are gone. I had lots of friends, high school, college, and now I have no one. Even my family. He just cut people off one by one. And then the only people in my group were people that he allowed to be in my group and that he controlled. And that was throughout my boxing career. You know, when I would travel, it was always the people that traveled with me were who he wanted to travel with me, not so much who I wanted to travel with me. Yeah, I think the isolation, the mental games he played, that was way more than the physical, because it really wasn't physical that often.
Yeah.
Until it was physical at the end. But,
yeah. So he started, you know, with the mental piece, and as your career started to rise, right? Because in the beginning you weren't making any money, and then you got with the promoter who everybody knows as Don King, who was Mike Tyson's promoter, and your career really started to grow. And then you got asked to be on that pay-per-view. By the way, I watched one of them. I can't remember which one, but I started watching the documentary and I went, oh my gosh, I saw this. I remember this. So tell me what that was like, just being from such a small town, and suddenly, you know, you go on this huge pay-per-view special where you walk into the arena and everybody's booing you because you're female. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, I mean, you go into arena, and what's intimidating, you look out in the first 3 or 4 rows, and it's like, you know, everybody. Not that you know them personally, you know them. It's Magic Johnson, it's Kevin Costner, it's, you know, Tupac, all the major stars from the 90s are sitting there waiting to see Mike Tyson. That was intimidating. And that was like, are you kidding me? I'm a coal miner's daughter from a 700 people town in southern West Virginia. Yeah, it was pretty overwhelming. And then I was fighting at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas, fighting at Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas, fighting at Madison Square Garden on all these huge cards promoted by Don King. And King, he had events. I mean, everything he did was an event. It was a big deal, a spectacle. So to be part of that was pretty crazy. And, you know, one of the coolest things after the 1996 fight, I was out here in LA walking down Rodeo Drive, and people came out of the Versace store asking me for an autograph. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. Like, real stars walk down these streets and they're coming out asking me for an autograph.
It had to have been an out-of-body experience. I saw you said something like after you won your first huge fight, that Mike Tyson pay-per-view special, that people, like some of the TV shows were calling you and you thought it wasn't real, correct?
Right. I called my PR guy, well, actually the PR guy from Showtime, and I'm like, why are these people playing this game on me? It's pretty, you know, it's not funny. He's like, Christy, you don't get it. Everybody down here in the casino the only fight they're talking about is your fight. I was like, oh, wow. So,
I mean, that's pretty cool. So you ended up really being stuck in the situation where you were just alone with him doing these fights. You were the breadwinner. You started making all this money and he was taking advantage. You said at one point in the documentary that you felt like he wasn't looking after you in the ring, correct? So
right.
You talk a lot about the fact that he kept pushing you to fight. There was one particular fight where you should have stopped and he just kept telling you to keep going. So can you talk about that?
So I fought Laila Ali, who was like 6 foot tall, 6'1". I'm 5'4" on my good days. And Laila was, probably by the time she got in the ring that night, 170, 175. I fought at 147, my max. I was 143 when I went in the ring that night. And so she was just way bigger, way younger. I was confident. I really thought that I was going to hit her harder than she had been hit before, and I was going to win the fight. I believed in me. But she hit me first. And so I was telling him between rounds that, I'm dizzy. I felt like I was on a tilt. My equilibrium was off. And he just kept telling me to keep fighting, which was fine. I guess that's what coaches are supposed to do. But then at the point in the fight when I took a knee, he could have stepped in and stopped the fight. So, but he didn't. I stayed down for 10 seconds. And to me, it's really the worst 10 seconds of my life, even worse than him shooting and stabbing me, because I got up from that. And I didn't get up from Laila. And it's hard for me to accept as a fighter.
Yeah. But you ended up in that situation. You had never been knocked out before, right? Right. You were known as this tough as nails, taking on anybody, this fighter, this legend, really. And then that fight, and then after that happened, you ended up kind of spiraling a little bit, you're okay with that word, of being in a situation where you started to hide and start taking drugs, that kind of stuff. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So really after Laila, I probably should have retired. Maybe I had a farewell fight and bring in somebody, but I started using cocaine on a regular basis. I had always been against drugs. He came in one day and dropped a baggie of coke on my table, and I left it sit there actually for a couple of days, and then I was just like, let me just try this. And I, just one day after the next day, and more coke. And finally, after about 3 years, I walked through my house and you look like an addict. Mm-hmm. You are an addict. And at that point, I decided I'm leaving. He can kill me if he wants to. I don't care, because I was done. I was done with life. I was so low. And I just decided to leave.
Did you connect? You connected with your high school girlfriend, correct? At that point,
we had actually been kind of talking back and forth through Facebook, and then I was just like, you know what? I know he's monitoring everything I'm doing on Facebook, so just text me. I mean, there's no, he knew what I did on the computer. He was looking at everything on my phone. It didn't matter who called me, who texted me. He was videotaping and audio taping everything that was happening in my house. So I was just like, yeah, just call me. And then we reconnected. But I didn't leave him for her. I just left him. And she was the person that I told her, I just want to tell you everything, because he's going to kill me, and I want somebody to know the truth. And that's where that went, really.
As I watched it, I started to get the thoughts of what it's like. I have a lot of women come on that have been in abusive situations, and the feeling of not being able to get away. But in a lot of situations, it's the woman that's trapped because of financial means or whatever it is. So he was using video and that kind of stuff to try and, I'm guessing, extort or trap you so you felt like you couldn't get out, correct?
Right. I had even at one point in my life, I had even like written up a contract. Like, I'll take on all these expenses. I'll take care of this. You just leave. Just leave. And that resulted in physical violence. That resulted in physical altercation with me just asking him to just let me go. But that wasn't what was going to happen.
So the final straw in the situation, and I don't want to give away the whole story, but it's a known story. If you even Wikipedia you or Google you, that he attacked you, viciously attacked you, shot and stabbed you, and you got away. And tell me a little bit about once you got away, that stranger that took you in the car, and you talk about bleeding in the back seat, just to be able to have the strength to get up when you heard him go to like into the bathroom to take a shower or whatever he was doing. How did you find the courage and the strength to pick yourself up? I mean, it's just incredible.
Because as I laid there, I say that I looked through the vent in my ceiling. My eyes were straight to God's, and I asked him to please show me some way out. And it was like immediately I heard the shower water turn on. And I had tried to get up before, and every time I would raise up, like blood would squirt out of all these holes in my body. And this time I picked up a T-shirt actually and started to compress against where he shot me, and I got up. I mean, I think God got me up. I just needed his strength, God's strength, to get me out. And that's what happened.
So spirituality is important to you, I'm guessing, like some out of body, something telling you to get up and keep going. Like you still have things to do in this life, correct?
Yeah, because when he started the attack, I should say, I was done. I had given up. I'm ready to die. But then as he beat my head against the dresser and pistol whipped me, I was like, nah, not today, brother. Not today. It just changed.
And so then you went on to compete again, correct?
Yes.
And tell me how that went. I mean, I don't want to give away anything in the movie, but it's just such an inspiration that you got out, that you made it out. You were shot, you were stabbed, you were beaten, and you got out. And tell me a little bit about, without giving the whole story away, what you did next.
Yeah, so I left the hospital and I went straight back to the boxing gym. I got a fight. I was supposed to fight actually in January. The attack happened in November. But when I was training to get ready for the fight, one of the ribs where he had shot me was probably a little bit broken still. And so when I got hit in the rib, it broke all the way. So I didn't get the fight until June, which was just 6 months later after being shot and stabbed. And I was 50 seconds away from getting my 50th win. And the doctor stopped the fight because I had a broken hand. But I had had a broken hand since round 2. And when the last round, with 50 seconds to go, I was ahead. All I had to do was finish on my feet. And I'm winning this fight. The doctor stopped the fight. And I said, well, how can you stop this? I've been shot and stabbed, and you're stopping this because I have a broken hand? And he said, Christy, remember you spoke at this ringside physician conference, and you said, we have to protect fighters from themselves. And I cursed and said, but I wasn't talking about me.
Yeah.
And then I went to the hospital to get my hand fixed, and I had a stroke. So now I had a stroke. I'm waking up. I can't walk. I can't talk. I can't see straight. Everything is double. And I'm just saying to God, I know you're not going to put more on me than I can handle. But you think I'm a lot stronger than I am because I can't handle this. But again, I was able to get up after a week or 10 days and leave the hospital.
And that would have been your 50th win, yes. Correct? So that was really hard to grapple with.
Right.
So so then he ends up, he's now in prison, correct?
Right.
And thankfully got his just time that he's serving. But you talk in the documentary about actually getting that 50th win, which would have been him being justly put away, correct?
So I try to come to this place in my own mind that I got win number 50, November 23rd, 2010, when I got up off the bedroom floor and got out of my house. That was win number 50, because really there's no win in the boxing ring that could be bigger than that win. Yeah, even though it's a little hard to accept. I didn't get that win number 50 because I wanted to get that win number 50 without him also. That was important.
So tell me, how did the movie come about? Was it the documentary and somebody saw the documentary and said, let's make this into a movie?
I'm not really sure. It's crazy. People have been talking to me about a movie since 1996. After the Gogarty fight, I had a group from Hollywood approach me and want to talk to me about doing a movie. Probably thank goodness it didn't happen. And I think, timing is everything. It just, Sydney came on board, the whole group with Votive, Anonymous, Black Bear, everybody came together, David, Mira, it's a really great group of people that I trust as much as I can trust anyone right now. Mm-hmm. And they took good care of me. I feel like in the movie, I think they took good care of me. They protected me.
So the movie comes out on November 7th, and you've been doing, it's for the listeners, it's been getting all kinds of accolades and people are standing ovations at screenings. What does it feel like to kind of have this full circle moment where, you had this amazing career? Nobody can say that they've done what you've done, maybe in different fields. But I have to tell you, say you didn't have that 50th win, but you have helped so many other women and people that are going to watch this movie and be so inspired by you. I'll never forget seeing the movie about Tina Turner and Ike Turner, What's Love Got to Do with It, and walking out of the theater. And your story kind of reminds me a lot about that. I just think there's so much winning in your real life story, which comes down to maybe you didn't get that 50th win in the ring, but you've won because, number one, you're away from him. He's where he belongs right now. And you're going to inspire so many other people.
I like I said, I think that's my whole reason for sharing my story. Yeah. I think the movie is going to talk to domestic violence survivors, people in a situation now, people that are close to a victim. It's going to help. Sexuality, it's going to help, hopefully. People have strength to be true to themselves and help people be more accepting. Drug addiction, and I always consider myself the ultimate underdog. If I can make it, anybody can.
And you've gone on you're still working in production, right? So you're doing Christy Martin Productions, so you're helping other boxers?
We have Christy Martin Promotions, and we have about 10 fighters that are signed to my company right now. And we have like 4 of my guys are in the top 20 in the world. So we're excited, and hopefully we're going to have one of those world championship belts around the waist 2026.
Oh, that's great. Do you help, are you promoting or any female boxers, or is it both?
I don't have any females, but it's because I just haven't found that perfect person yet. It's hard. Women's boxing, it's hard to promote. And right now, Jake Paul is paying these women. So really, if somebody comes to me that's pretty good, I'm going to tell them, call Jake Paul. Call Jake Paul and get paid.
And the sport has, I'm assuming, changed so much from the time you were in it till now, or is it similar to how it was?
The women's boxing has changed. It's more acceptable now, more accepted. Mm-hmm. And I often say, damn, I wish I was fighting now so I could make these $1 million paydays. But then I remember if I hadn't done what I did in the 90s, we don't know where we would be today. They might not be fighting today.
Yeah, they needed you as their pioneer, right?
There were a lot of women that came before me, but it was like the perfect storm. Don King, Mike Tyson, Showtime, it was a big platform. I got the opportunity to fight on.
But it's also interesting that you ended up with your rival, correct? One of your rivals?
Yeah, I fought her.
Yeah.
She wasn't like a rival. Like, there's some people that you fight that builds up to the fight and like there's true dislike. I didn't really know her until we fought each other. Yeah, so it wasn't like we already had animosity. I didn't have animosity. She had animosity toward me. I didn't have animosity toward her.
Well, it's an incredible story. I cannot wait to see it. It will be out in theaters November 7th. It is called Christy the Movie. And you can also follow, if you're on Instagram or any of the socials, at Christy Movie and Christy Martin Productions and Black Bear, correct?
Correct.
And I'm so thrilled that I got to meet you. You brought me to tears. I was watching your story, and I just want you to know, as a child, my mother was in an abusive marriage, and my stepfather was a horrible man. And watching your story, will help so many women out there that are stuck in these situations and feel like somewhere deep down inside they can have the strength to walk out and get out and stop the cycle. So thank you for that, Christy, because you really touched me with your story.
Thank you so much. And if someone is in that relationship, don't stay one more day. And there's people, Christy's Champs, who are all over social media. Call the national hotline. Wherever you might be, there's this shelter that wants to help you, that not only wants to help you, but can help you. Don't stay.
Thank you. Everyone, keep going. You matter. Your story matters. Thanks, Christy.
Thank you.
Judging Meghan with Meghan Judge.